Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Welcome, all the devotees online. Thank you very much for your kind presence as we continue. Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, Chapter 7, verses 15 to 42. Further inquiries by Vidura. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Svagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sanjeevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanas Hitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Svagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kamchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Bhavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Pastatya Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarva Shastra Piyusha Sarva Vaireka Satphala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnarya Sarva Lokai Pritpradam Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidwando Didaritya Shri Krishna Parivartita O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most paramtransal food of all the Vedas, O you enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions, O you grant spiritual vision to all people of the world, O light breath of the Vaishnava devotees, O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actual Krishna who has returned amongst us. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varsha Sharayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, I offer respectful obeisance unto you. By reading you untaints transcendental bliss, for your syllables rain pure love God upon the reader. You always be so by everyone, for your incarnation of Lord Krishna. Madekabando Matsangim Madguru Mad Mahadana Manashtaraka Mad Bhagya Madananda Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, O my companion, O my teacher, O my great wealth, O my deliverer, O my good fortune, O my bliss, I offer respectful obeisance unto you. Asadu Sadu Tadayana Tini Chachataraka Hanamu Chagata Chinmam Prem Premna Hritkata Yospura. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O give us saintliness to unsaintly, O uplift the very fallen. Please do not ever leave me. Please become manifest Mahatma throat, accompany of your love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Yatonvayaditaratas Swabhignaswarat Tene Brahma Hidayadi Kavaye Muyanti Yatsuraya Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatvati Sargo Mrisha Damna Svena Sada Nirasta Kwakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. O my Lord, Shri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, O prevailing personality of Godhead, of my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because the absolute truth and the primary cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, and destruction of manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations. And he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed in illusion, as one is bewildered by illusory representation of water, sea, and fire, land, sea, and water. Only because of him did material universe is temporarily manifested by the direction of the three modes of material nature. Modes of nature are perfectual, though they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in a transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute. Prayanalpaisha Sabhya Kalavasmin Yugejana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Upadrita. O learned one, in this Ainija Kali many but short lives are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all always disturbed. Narayan Namaskritya Narachevam Narotavam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the person of God in Narayan, unto Narayan, which is the supermost human being, and the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasa, the author. Savaipum Saparo Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radoksha Jaya Hoituki Pratiyata Yevmas Prasiddhati. The supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Vasudeva Bhagavat Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jana Yatyusa Vairagyam Jnanam Tayadhaitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personal Godhead Shri Krishna, one immediately acquires causes knowledge and detachment from the world. Vedanti Tattvavidastatvam Yajgnanam Advayam Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavaniti Sabhyate. Then the transcendentalists know the absolute truth calls non-dual substance Brahman Paramatma Bhagavan. Shru Shru Shroshadadanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchisyan Mahatsvaya Putra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great services done by such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Shranvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ryatantastoya Badrani Vidunati Suritsatam. Shri Krishna, the person of Godhead, who is Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotees, develop the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtues and properly well enchanted. Nasta Prasha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloker Bhaktir Bhavati Nishtaki. By regular attendance, the classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. In loving service unto the person of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Etavan Sankhya Yoga Bhyam Swadharma Parinishtaya Janmalava Parampam Samante Narayana Smriti. The highest perfection of human life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of occupational duty, is to remember the person of the Godhead at the end of life. Vakama sarvakama va moksha kamo udadiditivrena bhakti yogena yajate purusham param. A person who has broad intelligence, whether they be full of all material desires or design liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole personality of God. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing Srimad Bhagavatam based on the teachings of Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Hare Krishna and welcome back. Let us cover any feedback anyone has from our last session. Anything that you remembered caught your attention or want to recap, please type in the chat. We are hearing the discussion between Vidura and Maitra Muni. Vidura has presented questions to clarify further the glories of Supreme Lord, and Maitra Muni was very happy to receive those inquiries and began to share the answers to his inquiries. So we completed up to verse 14. Vidura inquired about Ishwar and the Jivas. Vasavaj Prabhu says devotional service is the only way to understand Krishna. No intellectual adjustment, no wealth, no youth, no power, no opulence, no material opulence will allow you access to understand Krishna. Why? Well, Krishna is totally transcendental. Krishna is above the three modes of material nature. So anything within the dimension of the three modes of material nature will not allow you to understand this bluish, blackish boy that everyone is attracted to in Vrindavan. To understand Krishna, the only solution is devotional service. And that was where we ended Maitra Muni describing this point, that for the living entity to be entangled, to be unentangled, for the living entity to be freed from all illusion, all suffering, for the living entity to ultimately understand Krishna, there is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way other than devotional service, devotional service, devotional service. And of all devotional service, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name is the most important. Chanting the holy name of the Lord will allow us to become purified and gradually gain access to further and further realization of who Krishna is, who we are, what is our relationship, and our duty towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now from 15 to 20, we're going to hear about Vidura shared his heartfelt realization with Maitreya. Then we're going to hear 21 to 38, Vidura's further inquiries. And then 39 to 42, Vidura declared his confidence in Maitreya. Nonetheless, says Hare Krishna, to understand Krishna, you need guidance because Krishna makes ambiguous statements which Parampara can put into context. Yes. Understanding Krishna, even though devotional service is the only way to understand Krishna, but that devotional practice needs to be guided by the disciplic succession. One needs the guidance of the disciplic succession to get clarity. Just like there may be many statements that Prabhupada has made in his Bhaktivedanta purports. And from our mundane, limited perspective, we may say that those statements are unjust, those statements don't make sense, those statements, no, we don't accept. That is from our limited perspective. When we raise our consciousness, those same statements may mean different. So we may not understand why. We may not understand certain statements, certain reasons why Prabhupada has given. But one thing is clear, Prabhupada is no ordinary soul. Scripturally, we can verify that. He's verified it through his life, through what he has achieved. So it's not based on some sentimental attraction and affection that we have. But clearly, scripturally, and through Prabhupada's historical achievements, we can clearly understand no ordinary person. Because he's no ordinary person, naturally he has access to a higher level of realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the knowledge than we. Therefore, we need guidance to understand and enter into Krishna's pastimes, understand Krishna. And sometimes that understanding may also be far beyond our realization. So therefore, we simply have to have faith, we simply have to continue and let Krishna reveal the truth. Text 15. All right, one more. Bafana says, I appreciate the knowledge that energies are not just energy as we loosely refer to, but they are living personages, yes. In fact, even when we talk about, in this material world, we talk about lust, anger, greed, jealousy, envy, they are personalities, even in the material world. Kali, the age, Dwapara Yuga, Tetra Yuga, Satya Yuga, Kali Yuga, these are personalities. Lust is a personality. Envy is a personality. These are personalities within this material creation. Then what to talk about the spiritual world? Everything is personality. There is no impersonal energy. Everything that is energy has a personality, a personified personality from where that energy manifests. And this is, for many people in the material world, difficult to conceive. But this is the fact. Especially the impersonalists. They'll be beyond their head to understand or even conceive how can everything be personality. Because they want to negate personality. But devotional service is personal. And everything in the spiritual world is related to Krishna. There is personality, there is consciousness. So we need to develop that focus, that attitude, and then slowly progress. Vidura says, text 15, Vidura uvacha, sanchina samyayo makyam, tava shuktashina vibho, ubayatrapi bhagavan, manomye samprada vati. Vidura said, O powerful sage, my Lord, all my doubts about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity have now been removed by your convincing words. My mind is now perfectly entering into them. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Since the signs of Krishna or signs of God and the living entity is so subtle that even a personality like Vidura had to consult persons like the sage Maitreya. Doubts about the eternal relationship of the Lord and the living entity are created by mental speculators in different ways. But the conclusive fact is that the relationship of God and the living entity is one of predominator and the predominated. The Lord is the eternal predominator and the living entities are eternally predominated. Real knowledge of this relationship entails reviving the lost consciousness to this standard. And the process for revival is devotional service to the Lord. By clearly understanding from authorities like the sage Maitreya, one can become situated in real knowledge, and the disturbed mind can thus be fixed on the progressive path. So we, as we're mentioning, here we see Vidura confirming, and Prabhupada in the purport is also confirming. We need to learn, we need to be guided, and the doubts that we have need to be clarified. So very clearly, Maitreya Muni has made it very clear that there's a clear distinction between the living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here Prabhupada again is establishing one is the predominator and the other is predominated. And this can never, ever change. Even when Krishna as the predominator becomes subservient to the living entity, just like Krishna is subservient in terms of as a charioteer in relation to Arjuna. So that doesn't make Krishna a predominated. It's still, Krishna never loses that position and you never lose your position. Krishna can come down to your level or lower than your level for a specific reason and relationship, but you can never go up to Krishna's level. That's never ever going to happen. 16. Sadve tad vyaritam vidvan natma maya yanam hare abhyatya partham nirmulam vishwamulam nayad pahi. O learned sage, your explanations are very good, as they should be. Disturbances to the conditioned soul have no other basis than the movement of the external energy of the Lord. Purport. A living entity's unlawful desires to become one with the Lord in every respect is the root cause of the entire material manifestation. For otherwise, the Lord has no need to create such a manifestation even for his pastimes. So here the root cause of material creation. Generally, we say that the material creation is created by the Lord because the living entity want to enjoy separately. But what is that? What is the level to what this separate enjoyment can reach? And you're probably saying that to become one with the Lord in every respect is the root cause of the entire material manifestation. We want to be enjoyers. We want to be proprietors. We want to be controllers. We want to be God. This is the reason for this material creation. Otherwise, Prabhupada says, Krishna doesn't need to create this creation, even for his pastimes. Why? Because even all these pastimes can be, they manifested in the spiritual world. So if Krishna wants, he could have easily, even his childhood pastimes, he could have it there, no problem. So we need to look within ourselves and see to what degree do I have this tendency to be God. It may be 1%, it may be 10%, it may be 50%. And because of that tendency, material creation is going to keep existing. We need to purify ourselves from all these tendencies. Krishna is the only supreme enjoyer. Everything is meant for Krishna's pleasure. And we enjoy when Krishna enjoys. This is how our enjoyment comes. The conditioned soul under the spell of the external energy of the Lord falsely suffers many unfortunate incidents in material life. The Lord is the predominator of the external energy Maya, whereas the living entity is predominated by the same Maya under the material condition. The false attempt for the living entity to occupy the predominating post of the Lord is the cause of his material bondage. And the conditioned soul's attempt to become one with the Lord is the last snare of man. Because of this tendency, we fall under the prey of Maya. And therefore we suffer. Now, for many souls, they need to be put under the pressure of suffering for them to get a glimpse of awakening, a glimpse of realization. Prabhupada would often give this example that you can learn by hearing. Somebody says, don't put your hand in the fire, you'll burn. And immediately you have faith in the person who's telling you, you understand it's going to burn. You haven't experienced what burn means. But because they're warning you, they're telling you, you learn and you avoid. There's no curiosity in your consciousness. I wonder what it feels like. What is talking about burn? Maybe he's not, maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about. Let me try it out. So you get these doubts coming in. No, there's no doubts. You have faith, you accept, and you save yourself so much trouble. Very few learn that way. Most need to go to the school of hard knocks. They need to put their hand in the fire, get burnt, realize the lesson, and you get a few that are very unfortunate. Those few that are very unfortunate, even after repeated burning, they do not learn. Very unfortunate. So we want to learn from hearing, because why? that will save you from so much future headaches. It's amazing. If I to ask a question on the chat, how many of you love to suffer? Give me a yes if you love to suffer, or give me a no if you don't like to suffer. Now, I will be surprised if somebody says yes. No one in the material world wants to suffer. It's just natural. It's a rhetorical question. Only a insane person will say, I love suffering. Otherwise, every sane person will say, no, I don't want suffering. I mean, that's crazy. I don't. But yes, just like Mother Les says, not preferred. I don't have a control over it. It's going to come, unfortunately, but I don't want to suffer. Chamananda says, big no. Exactly. Nobody wants to suffer. Now, if we don't want to suffer, then why don't we want to apply the remedy to eradicate all our suffering? This is the biggest challenge. In fact, Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita had the same dilemma, because Krishna is very clearly saying there's the path of righteousness and the path of irreligion. If you don't follow the path of righteousness, you're going to get a different result. It's black and white. If you don't surrender to me, you don't follow me, you don't follow the Vedas, you're not going to get the desired result. And Arjuna is scratching his head, he's thinking, well, that's true. It's common sense. But Krishna, it seems like people they know this, but people are forced to act even though they know the truth. Why? And then Lord Krishna describes lust, the all devouring, sinful enemy of the soul. So this desire, this lust to enjoy separately from Krishna is deeply ingrained in our consciousness. It's very deep. Now, when we understand that it's very deep, and that is the issue, and I know that in my cells, in my being, this desire to enjoy is there, that itself is half the battle won, because you know the problem. By embracing the process of devotional service, we gain the strength, we gain the purity, we gain the power to cleanse our heart, cleanse this body, cleanse the mind of lust, anger, greed, jealousy, envy, madness, illusion. And because I know I'm in the process, even if I get influenced, I don't get derailed from the process, because I understand what is influencing me, and I understand that it's going to be a journey of purification. I need to keep reminding myself that I am not 100% pure. And because I'm not 100% pure, that is if somebody's honest with themselves, then I know that there's a tendency in my being that can influence me to go against what Krishna wants. That is why Lord Krishna says suitable practice and detachment. I need to be in a conducive environment that protects me from getting derailed, and then I need to embrace a suitable practice. And if I can be in an environment that is safe for bhakti, for devotional service, that does not allow the desires, lust, anger, greed to become inflamed, and I'm able to practice devotional service, I'm now in a safe zone. And now it's a question of maintaining that safe zone as long as possible. Really, over few lifetimes, ideally. Not like, oh yeah, I can maintain this for 1 year. No. 1 year is nothing. Even 5 years is nothing. Even 25 years is nothing. If you're getting over 50, there is something there, little. You're getting over 100. Now there's a little more. So we want to create that shield, that safe zone, and then develop a taste for the process. Develop a taste for the process. Because if you develop a taste for the process, the timeline becomes irrelevant. You're not going to achieve purity over a few years. Even Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, when his disciples were saying, Guru Maharaj, we've been chanting for many years, and it's like not getting, the stage of bhava is not coming. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, well, if you said you had the stage of bhava, I would be worried. Because it's not something cheap, it's not something simple, it's not something that's going to come overnight or over 50 years. No. It's lifetimes of preparation, lifetimes of purification. There is no cutting corners, there is no cheating, there is no, bribing in this process. You can't hide behind a mask. Because Krishna is there right in your heart. He knows you through and through. So you can't fool him, you can't cheat him, you can't bribe him. But the beauty is Krishna accepts you as you are. The beauty is Krishna accepts what you offer him from where you are. That is how you can make progress. That is how you can go forward. So we need to eradicate this underlining cause that I am God. I am in control. My wish is everybody's command. We need to become free from that. 17. Yascha mudat tamo loke yascha bude param gata tavyubhau sukham adhete klishyatyanta rito jana. Both the lowest of fools and he who is transcendental to all intelligence enjoy happiness, whereas persons between them suffer the pangs, suffer material pangs. The lowest of fools do not understand material miseries. They pass their lives merrily and do not inquire into the miseries of life. Such persons are almost on the level of animals who, although in the eyes of superiors are always miserable in life, are unaware of material distresses. A hog's life is degraded in its standard of happiness, which entails living in a filthy place, engaging in sex enjoyment at every opportune moment, and laboring hard to a struggle for existence. But this is unknown to the hog. Similarly, human beings who are unaware of the miseries of material existence and are happy in sex life and hard labor are the lowest of fools. Yet, because they have no sense of miseries, they supposedly enjoy so-called happiness. The other class of men, those who are liberated and are situated in transcendental position above intelligence, are really happy and are called Paramhamsas. But persons who are neither like hogs and dogs nor on level of Paramhamsas feel material pangs, and for them, inquiry about the supreme truth is necessary. The Vedanta Sutra states, Atato Brahma Jignasa, one should inquire about Brahman. This inquiry is necessary for those who are between the Paramhamsa and the fools, who have forgotten the question of self-realization in the midst of life in sense gratification. So we need to pray to Krishna that we don't fall down to being the lowest of fools. That we understand we are suffering and that there is a solution to that suffering. Whereas there are those classes of men, living entities, who want to ignore that they're suffering. The example is given of a ostrich that has been chased by a lion. And then the ostrich finds a hole and puts his head in the hole and says, sure, lion's gone. We don't want to be like that. Ignoring that actually we are suffering. And there is a solution. Nobody says you should suffer eternally. There's no such thing as eternal condemnation. Krishna has given the solution. And anyone who is connected to Prabhupada has the solution. At the same time, we have to understand that when one comes to the path of Krishna consciousness, it's not that the obstacles will not face one again. The obstacles may face one even on the process and the path of Krishna consciousness. And that is why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had made it very clear, na dhanam na janam na sundarim. You have to be very careful of followers. You have to be very careful of wealth. Be very careful of women or the opposite gender. Fame, prestige, power, wealth. This all will come on the path of bhakti. Maya is not going to leave you. Maya is not going to get tired of you. Maya is not going to say, oh yeah, just see he joined Prabhupada. Okay, let me leave him. No. Maya is going to say, why did you go there? You're not supposed to go over there. All right, I'm going to get you back. How? Here's some wealth. Here's some followers. Here's some prestige. Here's some honor. Here's some fame. Here's an opposite gender. And if you fall prey, because you know the truth, because you know the process of Krishna consciousness, you're going to get greater punishment. So again, there's no escape. So we need to understand these traps. And we need to be careful not to succumb to these traps. Because you cannot buy your way back to the spiritual world. Unfortunately, there is no entrance like that. '18. Artabhavam vinishchitya pratitasyapi natmana tam chapi yusmach charana sevaya ham paranude. But my dear sir, I'm obliged to you because now I can understand that this material manifestation is without substance. Although it appears real, I'm confident that by serving your lotus feet, it will be possible for me to give up the false idea. The suffering of the conditioned souls are superficial and have no intrinsic value, like the cutting of one's head in a dream. Yet, although the statement is theoretically very true, it is very difficult for common men or the neophyte on the transcendental path to realize practically. Let's just try to comprehend this point, which Prabhupada makes. He made in the previous purport, he's making it again here. It's made again in the future purports. That the suffering that the living entity goes through is superfluous to him. Here Prabhupada is saying superficial. Sometimes Prabhupada is superfluous. It has no substance. What does that mean? It has no value, no intrinsic value. It's like someone's head getting cut off in a dream. You may go through the pain of your head getting cut off, but your head is not cut off. And how do we know your head is not cut off? Because you can see the dream, you can see someone, you can see your head getting cut off. You can't get your head cut off and see that your head is getting cut off, if your head is definitely getting cut off. Which means that the pain that you going through, that your head is getting cut off, has no real substance. The suffering, the pain, the trauma, the ordeals, the challenges that you're going through has really no value and no substance in relation to your real you. And Prabhupada is revealing the reality that the statement is theoretically very true, but very difficult to realize. Why? Because our identity is soaked. Our identity is completely absorbed in this is me. As soon as that identity is separated from the body to the soul, you will realize these statements of Prabhupada in the Bhagavatam. It's like you'll be thinking, wow, really? Did I actually feel like that? How foolish. Right now, you look at the statement, you think, yeah, Prabhupada and the Bhagavatam can make these statements. Yeah, I don't believe it. No problem, we agree. Because you also need some level of realization, some level of purity, some level of elevated consciousness to realize these truths. And Prabhupada is not hiding from that fact. Prabhupada is revealing that fact, that it can be very difficult. The question is that Prabhupada is telling you it's very difficult. Prabhupada is telling you that this is the reality. Which one you're going to accept? Yes, I'm going through suffering, I'm feeling it, but I know the truth is, it is superfluous to me. That is why Krishna Bhagavad Gita says, Matras Pashastu Kontaya. Sitoshna Shukadukata. Agama Payunatyas Tamtitishku Bharata. That Arjuna, you have to learn to tolerate. Because if you learn to tolerate long enough while practicing the process, this realization will dawn upon you. Prabhupada continues, however, by serving the feet of great personalities like Maitreya Muni and by constantly associating with them, one is enabled to give up the false idea that the soul suffers from material pangs. Okay, let us take that last point. The false ideas that the soul suffers from material pangs, meaning you don't suffer, the soul doesn't suffer. Can you share with me from Bhagavad Gita to prove that the soul never suffers from material pangs? Can you give me some evidence from the Bhagavad Gita that the soul never suffers? What evidence can we present to prove that the soul never suffers from material pangs? What evidence can you give me from Bhagavad Gita to prove that the soul never suffers from material pangs? The peace formula, all right. Krishna is revealing, if you understand him to be the enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, benefactor, you become free. Chapter 2, the soul can never be burnt, cut. Yes. If the soul cannot be cut, not be burned, not be withered, not be destroyed by any weapon, every single weapon that was used on the battle of Kurukshetra cannot harm the soul, then where's the question of a virus attacking a soul? If the Brahmastra could not destroy the soul, if no fire can burn the soul, if no weapon can cut, cannot be wet, cannot be withered, then where's the question of any material suffering affecting the soul? It cannot. Which means that my nature, my true nature, is so powerful, it's so superior. It's beyond matter to impact. It's like, I don't know how many of you were watching the series called Knight Rider. It's got a car that you can't scratch, you can't dent, you can't do anything with it. The soul is like that. Nothing in this material environment, right up to Brahma's power, has the power, the potency to cause a scratch on the soul. And that's you, believe it or not. And yet, we are crying. We are screaming in pain due to foolishness. So the Bhagavatam is giving us the solution. Are we wise enough to understand and embrace the solution? A solution that can solve every single problem once and for all. 19. Yat sevaya bhagavata kuta stasya madhudvisha ratiraso bhavet tivra padayor vyasa nardana By serving the feet of the spiritual master, one is enabled to develop transcendental ecstasy in the service of the personality of Godhead, who is the unchangeable enemy of the Madhu demon, and whose service vanquishes one's material distresses. Purport. The association of a bona fide spiritual master like Sage Maitra can be of absolute help in achieving transcendental attachment for the direct service of the Lord. The Lord is the enemy of the Madhu demon, or in other words, he is the enemy of the suffering of his pure devotee. The word Rati Rasa is significant in this verse. Service to the Lord is rendered in different transcendental mellows, relationships: neutral, active, friendly, parental, and conjugal. A living entity in the liberated position of transcendental service to the Lord becomes attracted to one of the above-mentioned mellows. And when one is engaged in the transcendental service to the Lord, one's service attachment in the material world is automatically vanquished. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Rasavarjam rasopyasya param prishterishtvani vartate. Right now, we are engaged in devotional service under practice. We are really not engaged in devotional service because pure devotional service only starts at the stage of after liberation. When you are free from bodily identification, that's when pure devotional service starts. So right now, we are in the stage of practice. And by getting the association of Srila Prabhupada, getting the association of pure souls, and being engaged in the service of the Lord, we slowly become attached to that service, attached to the Supreme Lord. Like the residents of Vrindavan, the devotees, like Mother Yashoda, Srimati Radhavani, Scout friends, Subal, we need to develop attachment to Krishna. That attachment will come from the practice of devotional service. 20. Durapya Durapayalpa tapasa seva vaikuntavat vard masu yatropa giyate nityam deva devo janardana. Persons whose austerity is meager can hardly obtain the service of the pure devotees who are progressing on the path back to the kingdom of Godhead, the Vaikunthas. Pure devotees engaged 100% in glorifying the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of the demigods and the controller of all living entities. The path of liberation, as recommended by all authorities, is to serve the Mahat Transcendentalists. As far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the Mahatmas are the pure devotees who are on the path to Vaikuntha, kingdom of God, and who always chant and hear the glories of the Lord rather than talk of dry, fruitless philosophy. The system of association has been recommended since time immemorial, but in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, it is especially recommended by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even if one has no assets of favorable austerity, if he nevertheless takes shelter of the Mahatmas who are engaged in chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord, he is sure to make progress on the path back home, back to God. So we need to associate with those who have one mission only, and that is to always chant and hear the glories of the Lord, 100%. no other business. No other crooked business, no underhand business, no other motivation. We should not be blind with the face value. We should understand and know how to distinguish those who are genuinely practicing to those who may be externally showing practice but internally harboring other agendas. That is why Srila Prabhupada told Harisari Prabhu, I want you to stay with me 24 hours a day. Why? Why did Prabhupada give him that instruction? So that one can understand where one is, especially where one's guru, leader is, that person you're following. Otherwise, you'll be cheated. And Harisari Prabhu said when he stayed with Srila Prabhupada 24 hours a day, he could understand this is the living Bhagavata. He could see Prabhupada was sent a walking Bhagavatam. Not like when somebody is in the public, one is like a devotee and then behind doors, something else is going on. And that is not the fault. It's not his fault if he misleads the followers. It's also the followers' fault, predominantly because why? They did not do their homework. They may be sentimentally attached. Here Prabhupada is making very clear, somebody that we call Mahatmas, pure devotees, their life, it's interesting, Prabhupada is making the point, Mahatmas are pure devotees, not who's back to Godhead. Mahatmas who are pure devotees who've realized everything about Krishna. No, Prabhupada is saying the Mahatmas are pure devotees who are on the path to Vaikuntha. They haven't reached. They're Mahatmas. So there are plenty Mahatmas within our society. At the same time, Prabhupada then qualifies. And who always chant and hear the glories of the Lord rather than to talk of dry, profitless philosophy. So in order to see, are they genuinely only interested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you need to test them for 24 hours, couple of years, couple of months, 21. Shrisht Bagre Mahad Adini Vikaranya Anukramat Tebyo Virajam Udritya Tam Anupravishad Vibhu. After creating the total material energy, the Mahatattva, and thereby manifesting the gigantic universal form with senses and sense organs, the Supreme Lord entered within it. Fully satisfied by the answers of sage Maitreya, Vidura wanted to understand the remaining portions of creative function of the Lord, and he took the clues from the previous topics. 22. Yamahur Adyam Purusham Sahasrangre Yuruk Bahukam Yatra Vishwa Ime Loka Sa Vikasham Ta Asate. The Purusha incarnation lying on the causal ocean, is called the original Purusha in the material creation. And in his Virat form, in whom all the planets and the inhabitants live, he has many thousands of legs and hands. Report. The first Purusha is Karandakasai Vishnu, second Purusha is Garbhodakasai Vishnu, and the third Purusha is Shirodakasai Vishnu, in whom it's contemplated the Virat Purusha, the gigantic form in which all the planets with their different developments and inhabitants are floating. 23. Yasmin dasa vidapra sendriyartha sendriyarthendriyas trivrita vrit tva yerito yato varnas tadvibhutir vadaswana. O great Brahmana, you have been told that the gigantic Virat form and the senses, sense objects, the 10 kinds of life as exists with 3 kinds of life vigor. Now, if you will kindly explain to me the different powers of the specific divisions. 24. Yatra putraischa naptribi sahagotrajai prajavichitra kritaya asanyabir idam tatam. O my Lord, I think that the process manifest in the form of sons and grandsons and family members have spread all over the universe in different varieties and species. 25. Prajapatina sapatis kal chal chaklpekam prajapatim patin sargams chaivanu shargams cha manu manvantaradipan. O Lord Brahmana, please describe how the leaders of all the demigods, namely Prajapatis, Brahma, decided to establish the various Manus, the heads of the ages. Please describe the Manus also, and please describe the descendants of those Manus. Report. The human race, or Manusya Sara, descendants from Manus, sons and grandsons of the Prajapati Brahma. The descendants of Manu resides in all different planets and rule all the universe. 26. Upar adyascha ye loka bhumer mitrat majasate te sam stam param pramanam cha bhulokasya chavarnaya. O son of Mitra, kindly describe how the planets are situated above the earth as well as underneath it, and also please mention their measurements as well as that of earthly planets. Purport. Yasmin vignate sarvam eva vignatam bhavati. Mukunda Upanishad 1.3. This Vedic hymn declares emphatically that the devotee of the Lord knows everything material and spiritual in relation with the Lord, relationship with the Lord. Devotees are not simply emotional, as is ill-conceived by certain less intelligent men. Their direction is practical. They know everything that is and all the details of the Lord's domination over various creation. You do want to know the measurements. Imagine if we had to go and ask the scientists, can you please tell me the measurements of all the universes and all the planets? So Vidura wants to know. Prabhupada is saying, yes, the devotees, they know. 27. Tiryan manusha devanam sharish ripa patatri nam vedana sarga samyuham garbhasevda se garbhasveda vijod vidam. Also, please describe the living beings under different classifications: subhumans, humans, those born of embryos, those born of perspiration, those who are twice born birds, and the plants and vegetables. Kindly describe their generations and subdivisions also. So here we're seeing how detailed, how scientific, how elaborate the Bhagavatam the Vedas are. Clearly, Vidura is inquiring these questions, and this is 5,000 years ago. The level of questioning is far, far superior. He obviously heard about these topics because these are all described in the Vedas. 28. Gunavatare Vishwasya Sargati Stitya Pyayas Yashram Shramayam Srichatta Srinivasyasya Vyachak Swodara Vikrama. Please also describe the incarnations of the material modes of nature, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar. And please describe the incarnations of the Supreme Person of God and his magnificent, his magnanimous activities. Magnanimous activities. Although Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar, the three incarnations of the material modes of nature, are the principal deities of creation, maintenance, destruction of the cosmic manifestation, they are not the final authority. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, is the ultimate goal, the cause of all causes. He is the Ashraya, but the final rest of everything. 29. Varnashrama Vibhagamscha Rupa Shila Subhavata Vishninam Janma Karmani Vedasya Cha Vikarshanam. O great sage, kindly describe the divisions and orders of human society in terms of symptoms, behavior, and characteristic of mental equilibrium and sense control. Also, please describe the births of great sages and categorical divisions of the Vedas. Purport. The four statuses and orders of human society, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, as well as Brahmacharis, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas, are all divisions of quality, education, culture, and spiritual advancement attained by practicing control of the mind and the senses. All these divisions are based on the particular nature of each individual person, not on the principle of birth. Birth is not mentioned in this verse because birth is immaterial. Vidura is famous in history as born of Sudrani mother, yet he is more than a Brahmana by qualification because he is seen here to be a disciple of a great sage, Maitreya Muni. Unless one achieves at least Brahmanical qualifications, one cannot understand the Vedic hymns. Mahabharata is also a division of the Vedas, but it is meant for women, Sudras, and Dvijabandhus, the worthless children of the higher sections. The less intelligent section of society can avail themselves of the Vedic instruction simply by studying Mahabharata. 30. Yagnasya cha vita nani yogasya cha patha prabho Nishkarmasya cha saka sankhyasya tantra bhagavat smitam. Please also describe the expansions of different sacrifices and the parts of the mystic powers, analytical study of knowledge and devotional service, all with their respective regulations. Report. The word tantram is significant here, and sometimes tantram is understood to be the black spiritual science of materialistic persons engaged in sense gratification. But here tantram means the science of devotional service compiled by Srila Narad Muni. One who can take advantage of such regulative explanations of the path of devotional service and make progressive advancement in the devotional service of the Lord. Sankhya philosophy is the basic principle of acquiring knowledge, as well as will be explained by sage Maitreya. The Sankhya philosophy enunciation by Kapila Dev, son of Devahuti, is the real source of knowledge about the supreme truth. Knowledge not based on Sankhya philosophy is mental speculation and can yield no tangible profit. 1. Pashandapatha Vaishamyam Pratilomani Veshanam Jivasya Gato Yascha Yavatir Guna Karmaja. Please also describe the imperfections and contradictions of the faithless atheists, the situation of crossbreeding, and movements of living entities in various species of life according to their particular modes of nature and work. Purport. The combination of living entities in different modes of material nature is called crossbreeding. The faithless atheists do not believe in the existence of God, and thus their path of philosophy are contradictory. Atheistic philosophy never agree with one another. Different species of life are evidence of varieties of mixtures of the modes of material nature. 32. Dharmartha kama mokshanam nimitanya virodata Bhartaya dandanitescha shrutasya cha vidim pratak. You may also describe the non-contradictory causes of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and salvation, and also different means of livelihood and different processes of law and order as mentioned in the revealed scriptures. 33. Shraddha dasya cha vidim brahma petran sangam cha sangameva cha grana nakshatra taranam kalavaya vasam stitim. Please also explain regulations for offering respects to the forefathers, the creation of Pitruloka, the time schedule in the planets, stars, and luminaries, and the respective situations. Purport. The time duration of day and night, as well as months and years, are different in different planets, stars, and luminaries. The higher planets, like the Moon and Venus, have time measurements different from those of Earth. It is said that 6 months of this planet Earth equals 1 day of the higher planets. In Bhagavad Gita, duration of 1 day in Brahmaloka is measured to be 1,000 times 4 yugas, or 4,300,000 years multiplied by 1,000. The month and years in Brahmaloka are calculated in that measurement. 34. Dhanasya tapo so vapi yachchesta purtayo phalam pravasa stasya yo dharmo yascha pumsa utapadi. Please also describe the fruitive results of charity, penance, and digging of reservoirs of waters. Please describe the situation of persons who are away from home, and also the duty of a man in an awkward position. Purport. The digging of reservoirs of water for public use is a great work of charity, and retiring from family life after 50 years of age is a great act of penance performed by sober human beings. 35. Yena va bhagavam tusyed dharmayoni janardana samprasidati va yesam etad akyahi menaga. O sinless one, because the Supreme Personality of God at the control of all living entities is the father of all religion, and all those who are candidates for religious activities kindly describe how he can be completely satisfied. Purport. All religious activities are meant ultimately to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord is the father of all religious principles, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 7:16. 4 kinds of pious men: the needy, the distressed, the enlightened, and the inquisitive approach the Lord in devotional service. The devotion is mixed with material affection, but above them are the pure devotees, whose devotion is not tainted by any material tinges or fruit of work or speculative knowledge. Those who are only miscreants throughout their lives are compared to demons. Bhagavad Gita 7:15. They are bereft of all knowledge in spite of any academic educational career they may pursue. Such miscreants are never candidates for satisfying the Lord. 36. Anuvratanam shishyanam putranam cha dvijotama anaprishtam api prutyur Guravo Dinavatsala. O best among Brahmanas, those who are spiritual masters are very kind to the needy. They are always kind to their followers, disciples, and sons, and without being asked by them, the spiritual masters describe all that is knowledge. Report. There are many subjects to be known from the bona fide spiritual master. The followers, disciples, and sons are all on one level for the bona fide spiritual master. and he's always kind to them and always speaks to them on transcendental subjects, even though he is not asked by them. That is the nature of the bona fide spiritual master. Vidura appealed to Maitreya Muni to speak on subjects about which he might have not asked. So I have a question. Did you ask Srila Prabhupada to write his Bhaktivedanta purports to teach you all this knowledge? And again, a rhetorical question. Definitely no. Yet, Prabhupada has given it to us. Why? Because they are always kind. They're kind to their followers. They're kind to the disciples. They're kind to their sons and daughters. So Prabhupada's heart in accepting us as his sons and daughters is mercifully guiding, enlightening us on the path of devotional souls. 37. Tattvanam Bhagavans Tesam Katida Prati Shankrama Tatremam Ka Upashiram Ka Yuswit Anusherate. Please describe how many dissolutions there are for the elements of material nature and who survives after the dissolution to serve the Lord while he is asleep. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita 5:47-48, it is said that all material manifestations with the innumerable universes appear and disappear with the breathing of Mahavishnu lying in yoga nidra or mystic sleep. Yakarana jale bhajati smayoga nidram ananta jagadanda soromakupa adara shaktim avalambya param swamurtim govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami yasyekam nishvasita kalam athavalambya jivanti loma vila jagad andanata vishnur mahansa iva yasya kala vishesho govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Govinda, the ultimate and supreme person of God, Lord Krishna, lies sleeping out unlimitedly on the causal ocean in order to create unlimited numbers of universes during the sleep. He lies on the water by his own internal potency, and I worship that original supreme Godhead. Due to his breathing, innumerable universes come into existence, and when he withdraws his breath, there occurs the dissolution of all the lords of the universes. That plenary portion of the Supreme Lord is called Mahavishnu, and he is a part of Lord Krishna. I worship Govinda, the original Lord. After the dissolution of the material manifestations, the Lord and his kingdom beyond the causal ocean do not disappear, nor do the inhabitants of the Lord's associates. The souls of the Lord are far more numerous than the living entities who have forgotten the Lord due to material association. The impersonal explanation of the word aham in the 4 verses of the original Bhagavatam, aham eva sam eva agre, etc., is refuted here. The Lord and his eternal associates remain after dissolution. Vidura's inquiry about such persons is a clear indication of the existence of all the paraphernalia of the Lord. This is also confirmed in the Kashi Kanda, as quoted by both Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, who follows in the footsteps of Srila Sridhar Swami. Nachyavante hi yad bhakta mahatyam pralaya padi atochuttau kile loke sa eka sarvago vyaha. The devotees of the Lord never annihilate their individual existence, not even after the dissolution of the entire cosmic manifestation. The Lord and the devotees who associate with him are always eternal, both in the material and spiritual worlds. 38. Purushasya cha samstatnam swarupam vaparasya cha dhyanam cha negamam yattad guru shishya prayojanam. What are the truths regarding the living entities and the Supreme Personal of Godhead? What are their identities? What are the specific values in the knowledge, in the Vedas? And what are the necessities of the spiritual master and his disciples? Report. The living entities are constitutionally servitors of the Lord, who can accept all kinds of service from everyone. It is clearly declared at 529 that the Lord is the supreme enjoyer of the benefits of all sacrifices and penances, the proprietor of all that is manifested, and the friend of all living entities. That is his real identity. Therefore, when the living entities accept this supreme proprietorship of the Lord and act in that attitude, he resumes his real identity. In order to elevate the living entity to this standard of knowledge, there is the necessity of spiritual association. The bona fide spiritual master desires that his disciples know the process of rendering transcendental service to the Lord, and the disciples also know that they have to learn about the eternal relationship between God and the living entity from the self-realized soul. To this emanate transcendental knowledge, one must retire from mundane activity on the strength of enlightenment in knowledge in terms of Vedic wisdom. That is the sum and substance of all the questions in this verse. 39. Nimitani cha tasye ha proktanyana kaha suribi swato gnanam kutapum sam bhakti vairagyam evava. Spotless devotees of the Lord have mentioned the source of such knowledge. How could one have knowledge of devotional service and detachment without the help of such devotees? There are many inexperienced persons who advocate self-realization without the help of a spiritual master. They decry the necessity of the spiritual master and try themselves to take his place by propagating the theory that a spiritual master is not necessary. Srimad Bhagavatam, however, does not approve this viewpoint. Even the great transcendental scholars Vyasadeva had need of a spiritual master. Under the instruction of his spiritual master Narada, he prepared the sublime literature Srimad Bhagavatam. Even Lord Chaitanya, although he is Krishna himself, accepted a spiritual master. Even Lord Krishna accepted a spiritual master, Sanibhani Muni, in order to be enlightened. And all the acharyas and saints of the world had spiritual masters. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna accepted Lord Krishna as his spiritual master, although there was no necessity of such a formal declaration. So in all cases, there is a question about the necessity of accepting a spiritual master. The only stipulation is that the spiritual master should be bona fide, i.e., the spiritual master must be in the proper chain of disciplic succession called the Parampara system. Shuris are great scholars, and they may not always be anaga or spotless. Anaga Shuri is one who is a pure devotee of the Lord. Those who are not pure devotees of the Lord or who want to be on the equal level with him are not anaga Shuri. Pure devotees have prepared many books of knowledge on the basis of authorized scriptures. Srila Rupa Goswami and his assistants, under the instruction of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, have all written various literatures for the guidance of the prospective devotees. And anyone who is very serious about raising himself to the standard of a pure devotee of the Lord must take advantage of those literatures. Prabhupada has extensively studied the teachings of the Goswamis and have interwoven those instructions in his Bhaktivedanta purports. At the same time, we can study Prabhupada's books and also study the Goswami books as recommended by Srila Prabhupada. But we'll find in many places Prabhupada has digested that wisdom and has given it to us in a way that we can digest. 40. Etan me prachata prashnam harer karma vivitsaya bruhi me vinasya mitradvad ajaya nasta chakshusha. My dear sage, I've put all these questions before you with a view to knowing the pastimes of Hari, the Supreme Person of Godhead. You are the friend of all, so kindly describe them all. Kindly describe them for all those who have lost their vision. About Vidura put forward many varieties of questions with a view to understanding the principles of transcendent loving service to the Lord. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 241, devotional service to the Lord is one, and the mind of the devotee is not diverted to many branches of uncertainties. Vidura's purpose was to be situated in that service to the Lord, wherein one merges undivertedly. He claimed the friendship of Maitreya Muni, not because he was Maitreya's son, but because Maitreya was actually the friend of all who have lost the spiritual vision due to material influence. 31. Sarvavedascha yagnascha tapodanani cha naga jivadbhya pradanasya nakur vikran kalam api. O spotless one, your answers to all these questions will grant immunity from all material miseries. Such charity is greater than all Vedic charity, sacrifices, and penances. But the highest perfectional work of charity is to give people in general immunity from the anxieties of material existence. This is the highest perfectional work. Highest perfectional work of charity. If you want to give in charity, how much can you give? What can you give? When can you give? Who can you give to? These questions come up in relation to charity. So, yes, it's sealing it for once and for all. The highest perfectional work of charity is to give people in general immunity from the anxieties of material existence. What a wonderful thing. The highest form of charity, the perfection of charity, is to give immunity. To who? Gentle people. All the people. And immunity from what? From anxieties of material existence. Everyone is suffering. Everyone needs this medication, no matter who they are. If we distribute this knowledge, then this is the highest form of charity. This can be done only by performing activities in devotional service to the Lord. Such knowledge is incomparable. Cultivation of knowledge in the Vedas, performance of sacrifice and distribution of munificent charities all together cannot form even a part of the immunity from the pang of material existence that is gained from devotional service. The charity of Maitreya not only will help Vidura, but due to its universal nature, will deliver all others in all times. Thus, Maitreya is immortal. Prabhupada's knowledge is following the line of Maitreya, and therefore, Prabhupada is also delivering all people from all times, and Prabhupada is also immortal. And we can appreciate that what Prabhupada has done, he's lived and exemplified this highest perfectional work of charity, of giving this knowledge that practically creates immunity from anxieties of material existence, if we apply and follow. We will not be able to repay Srila Prabhupada ever for this gift. for this charity. We should realize what we have, convince ourselves of this medication, this gift, and take full advantage of this gift while we have the strength, the stamina, the life. Take it seriously, apply it in our life, take full advantage. Prabhupada's mercy, Prabhupada's blessings, Prabhupada's wishes, Prabhupada's desire is all there. Prabhupada's best wishes and mercies embedded, transferred, transported through his instructions. He wants us to take full advantage of the gift he has left behind. He wants every living entity to take advantage of this gift. It's Lord Chaitanya's desire. It's Krishna's desire. Why would there not be success if we simply open ourselves to this gift? 42. Shri Sukho Vacha Sa itam aprashta punar kalpa kuru pradane namuni pradana pravriddha harasho bhagavat kathayam sandochita sanchoditas tam paraham parahasan ivaha. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, thus the chief of the sages, who was always enthusiastic about describing topics regarding the person of God, began to narrate the descriptive explanation of the Puranas. Being so infused by Vidura, he was very much enlivened by speaking on the transcendental activities of the Lord. Report. Great learned sages like Maitreya Muni are always very enthusiastic about describing the transcendental activities of the Lord. Maitreya Muni, being thus invited by Vidura to speak, appeared to be smiling because he actually felt transcendental bliss. Thus ends the Bhaktivinoda purport of the 3rd canto, 7th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Further Inquiries by Vidura. Vidura has previously asked so many questions, and now in this chapter, he has asked tons of questions, ranging from A to Z, covering so many facets, so many aspects. All the answers will now be shared by Vidura. And that is why Sanatana Goswami, in his prayers to Srimad Bhagavatam, has made it very clear that Srimad Bhagavatam is the source of all spiritual philosophical conclusions. Everything that we need to ever know is in this glorious Srimad Bhagavatam. Vantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai. Oh, Pramanande. Hari Hari. Are there any questions or comments? Next week we will continue. Next week, yes, we will continue with chapter 8. Kinkar said, made a comment, we buy bhakti with money. Problem is you can't buy bhakti with money. You're buying something, definitely not bhakti. Somebody is thinking that I'm getting bhakti in exchange of money. Unfortunately, it ain't bhakti. It's an empty box with the name bhakti on it. And you're thinking, see, I got bhakti. Money cannot buy Krishna. Shamananda Prabhu says, thanks Prabhu and Maharaji for a nice class. We thank Vidura and Maitreya Muni for having this conversation, for Srila Prabhupada Vyasadeva, and for Srila Vyasadeva and Srila Prabhupada for making it accessible to us. Yes, we do. You can just consider, right? This discussion is going on. Vidura and Maitreya are discussing this on the banks of a river, on the bank of a river, 5,000 years ago. If Srila Vyasadeva, through his transcendental vision, did not record this conversation, we would not be here discussing it. And Vyasadeva did compile this into the Bhagavatam. But if Prabhupada did not translate it in English, you and me would not be sitting here. I don't know if any of us would have been Sanskrit scholars, definitely not me. It was only because Prabhupada translated it in English that it was sitting in a library. And I was able to pick that book up and read. So we are eternally grateful, ever grateful for Srila Prabhupada to open up the storehouse of wisdom, really open up Krishna to us in the form of the Bhagavatam. Give us the Bhagavatam, give us Krishna. Rasarajpur says, the Lord is the predominator and we are predominating. The Lord is the controller and we are controlled. The Lord is enjoyer and we are enjoyed. We need to get that into our thick skull. The more we get that, the more we will be happy. Because we will know our position. And as long as you know your position, you will be happy. Happily situated. As soon as you try to be in Krishna's shoes, there will be problems. There will be issues. There will be trouble. Ofana, again, the highest perfectional work of charity is to give people in general immunity from the anxieties of material existence. To think where we come from, with Vidura all the way from him sent out of the house of Dhritarashtra by his son and friends, and how he left something but unaffected, but glorified with insults. Now Vidura is smiling after went out to search out from the highest authority. Now he speaks. Now he will speak. This is so glorious. Yes. And if we read Prabhupada's purports, Prabhupada made it very clear. Krishna had a plan. And that plan was to get Vidura out of there so that Vidura could get this association. So Krishna made this arrangement. Apparently a negative scenario, an ungrateful scenario, a scenario where apparently you should be upset. Vidura took it as Krishna's arrangement. Just like when Narad Muni's mother was killed by a snake, he took it as Krishna's arrangement. So whatever happens in our life, for those who have taken shelter of Srila Prabhupada, understand that that is Krishna's arrangement. Accept it, embrace it, and you'll be happy. And you pray to Krishna that, my Lord, if you so desire, please lead me to my next stage in serving you, in dedicating my life to you. Provide whatever I need so that I may be able to serve you. So in this way, whatever Krishna desires, it will be arranged. And if it means that there needs to be a negative situation that needs to come into our life for us to get higher blessings, higher realization, we should understand that the fact that we are chanting the holy name and surrendering to Prabhupada, then whatever we're going through is directly, instrumentally arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We may not accept it. We may not accept it at that point in time, over time it will be revealed. So yes, it is a wonderful journey. Mother Les says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the glorious Krishna Katha. The enthusiasm is very infectious. Very good example of how we should be with such questioning being asked in rapid fire. But my Kali Yuga brain and memory has already forgotten the question asked. So grateful it's all recorded and narrated for easy access and recall. All glories to our Parampara, to you and Marji for all those wonderful weekly classes. A big thank you. So don't worry, even I forgot. Prabhupada said, in Kali Yuga, remembering means writing down. So that's why Prabhupada wrote it down. He knows. And that's our nature. This is Kali Yuga. That's why we disqualified. So yes, we may not remember, no problem. We should remember the essence. Even if we do not remember the details, remember the essence. And as long as we get the essence and we embrace the essence, we live the essence, we die for the essence, we give everything we have for the essence, we will get the ultimate perfection. And the essence is being repeated again and again and again. In every verse, in every purport, in every chapter, in every canto, it's repeated again and again. By now, we know the essence. And I am a servant of Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'm meant to engage eternally in his service. I can never be Krishna. And we can render that service under the guidance of the pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada. We should simply hear and chant, become attached to devotional service, purify our life, perfect our life, and return back eternally in the service of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna in the spiritual world. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Go Pramanande, Hari Hari Bo. Until next week, we will meet again to continue Can Chapter 8.